Well, hello, wealthy women. I have another fun, beautiful, inspiring success story to share with you today. This one's going to take you a little bit on an adventure. When you get to meet my guest, she will share a little bit about what she's doing, what her offers are, what her mission is, and where you can find her. And then, as you know, we will get into those great success questions where you can learn by listening and being inspired and just keep also going for your dreams and use this interview to inspire you and motivate you. And then, of course, you'll want to go ahead and check out Dani's website as well to see all the amazing things she has to offer you. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over the camera right now and have Dani introduce herself and what her mission in life is about and what is she doing in the world. So take it away, Dani.
Thank you. All right. So, as she said, I am Dani Rosenblad James. Originally, I come from the US, but now I live in Sweden. It's filled with nature, which I love. I love hiking, all these things. So, I wanted to inspire people with traveling and, of course, coming to Sweden because of the nature and all of the things you can do there within their outdoor adventures and such. And so I created a travel blog that is dedicated to this. It will help families and all kinds of people traveling there. You get to learn about this awesome law that they have here called Allemansrätten. And with this law, you are allowed to camp anywhere out in nature, up to 3 days, and you have to be about 800 meters away from a building. So as long as you are considerate and respectful to the nature, using dead branches to make a fire, picking up after yourself, you're good to go. You can find me, misfitwanders.com. And yeah, that's me.
I love this. I love that this is such a connection with nature. And Sweden is absolutely beautiful. I know Sweden very well. I've been there many times. It's just such a beautiful country. And tell us, like, if someone wanted to join, say, an excursion with you, what would that look like for them? Like, can you kind of describe what they would be getting when they join your team?
Mm. So with me, my travel blog, it has links to hotels and to activities and tours and things you can do. So some of the tours you can find on there would be through Get Your Guide. And with them, you can go on excursions to Kebnekaise, the tallest mountain in Sweden. There are loads of great hiking in Norway, and that's not so far. It's very close. The same with all over the world. I've been to over 20 countries now. And yeah, so I talk about some of those in the articles I've written as well.
I love this. And what was your initial inspiration to just know that this is what you wanted to do? Like, what was that feeling for you? Because a lot of the women sometimes that are just starting to figure out that they want to do their own business, but they don't have a real full sense yet. How can you let them know that what you experienced is some of the things that maybe they should be paying attention to, and then they'll know they're kind of getting on the right course going forward?
Well, my situation, it seems like I had to be literally hit on the head to actually get oh, maybe this is what I'm not doing, what I'm wanting actually in my life. I had a traumatic brain injury 9 years ago. And after that, I realized that I wasn't really happy. I mean, I was a party girl back then, and I was just living in the now. I wasn't thinking of the future whatsoever. And then after that, that near death experience of almost, having the end happening, I realized I don't want to be alone anymore. I actually want to be with someone. I actually want to do something with myself. And before that, I actually loved hiking, but after my accident, going through what I went through, the 2 years where I didn't feel like myself was the hardest. And I actually went to Yosemite National Park and did one of the hikes there while I was healing. That was probably the hardest hike I've ever done in my life because of the pain I got in my head, like throughout the whole time. And I created a mantra to myself: slow and steady wins the race, that little storybook. And that helped me so much to make it to the top, even in tears and everything. I still pushed myself because I knew I could do it. It just, my body wasn't wanting to cooperate because it was still healing. And everyone on that trail was very helpful as well. They kept going, "Oh, you're so close. You almost got it. Oh, you're doing great." And I think they could see how difficult it was for me physically and mentally. But when I made it to the top, that made all the difference. And I think this was kind of a click in the brain, like, oh wait, I could help other people with finding these trails and help them explore nature, because that's a great way of healing, is being in nature. So
I love this. I love this backstory, and
mm,
it's amazing what you went through and how you overcame it. And then it's really a great testament to it. If you're listening to this, there's so many ways when we first start our business, we get pulled in shiny object syndrome. Oh, that might be a great way to make money, and that might be the great way. And it makes sense sometimes on paper, but
mm,
there's something where you're not like running towards it. And I think that this is a sign that you potentially are on the wrong track. So, like Dani said, she felt it so much in her heart. She went back to something that was naturally joyful to her. She didn't
mm,
have to try to make it work, it just did. And I think that, especially what Dani went through, having that near death experience, it just puts everything into perspective about not wasting your time and making sure you're as much on point with your passions as possible, whether that's your business, your people, your body, yourself, your world. And yes, we have time to play around and make little mistakes and this, that, and the other thing. That's all part of the process. But if it's possible for you to really zero in and really touch base with your heart and your soul and your desires, that's when you know you're on the right track. And it might not seem possible yet. Well, how do I make money from this? How do I turn this into a business so I can support myself and my family? The how will come to you. Just get in touch with your why. So when you when you were connected to your why, your mission, were
mm,
there, when you knew for sure already, like this is it, how did you kind of reinforce yourself to stay on that path? Because we all know that growing a business isn't always going to be a pure line of success to the top, right? It zigzags,
mm.
and it can cause doubt, it can cause frustration, all the things. When those moments would happen for you, how did you stay focused on your purpose and push through that?
It's definitely been a rocky path, especially with COVID. Um, because before COVID, I was, starting to do good because I have a travel blog. So people travel. Well, COVID happens, nobody's traveling anymore. So
Right.
I kind of had to take a little pause and figure out, what am I going to do? Is this plausible? Is it going to happen? So I started studying to become an English teacher. And then after COVID and everything, then I started getting traction again with my travel blog. And I was like, yes, because this is my dream. This is what I want to do. I know I can inspire people with my dream. There's so many people out there that are like-minded, that want to be more eco-friendly when it comes to travel, that want to travel with their family, do hiking, all these adventures and things. So with my travel blog, I felt that was a great way to help these kind of people.
And you're not mistaken when you say that travel is one of the best experiences for
Mm,
self reflection and growth.
yes.
I stand by that 100%. In fact, more so than my college education, I believe all of my traveling, backpacking solo throughout Europe many times and other places, had done so much for my confidence and my ability to,
Mm,
be aware of the world and cultures and all the beautiful things. That, along with growing your own business, I personally feel are the two most amazing ways to grow yourself as an individual, right? And
That definitely.
right, wouldn't you agree? So I love this because I'm anybody who knows me knows that I'm all about travel. I still in many of my programs I offer these beautiful vacation stays because it's great to have a vacation stay, but the biggest thing is sometimes just to get outside of your normal routine, even if it's
Mm.
a, a town over, doesn't matter because it makes you aware, it makes you see things in a new way. And even artists do this, right? Like, let's say a
Yeah.
painter or a writer, you get stagnant sometimes when you stay too much in your familiar, and
Hmm.
you need to, even sometimes whether you want to or not, you need to push yourself to get out of those comfort zones so that you have new ideas and energies and space to contemplate new ways you might want to approach things. And have you
Yeah.
found that also, that the more that you're out in nature, physical activity as well, physical activity and nature to me are absolutely beautiful. I typically walk every single day outside, and it just,
Hmm.
for me, it's walking meditation. I get the best
Hmm.
ideas. So can you talk about maybe how you get in touch with your let's say your spiritual soulful self, where you
Yeah.
get those new ideas? What's your way of going about that? Morning routines or other ways that you do this?
Yeah. Recently, I've actually created my own mental challenge. So I've been tweaking with it and seeing how best to go about it and everything. But as of now, I do a daily walk every day for an hour out in nature, of course. And I live near a bunch of forests, so it's great. And then I have where I do affirmations to myself. So I'm, talking myself up, making myself feel good because we can be our worst critic to ourselves. And then on top of that, I visualize my future, how it's going to be. And I actually have it in my mind as it already had happened.
Love
So
it.
I already play things out in my head as if it's already real. It's a reality. And I've actually been looking into this, and it's been kind of going around TikTok a lot about delusional make solutions. I think they call it Delu Sulu or something.
Okay, I have to check that out.
Yeah. So that was pretty interesting. And then I've also heard about this book that I'm going to start checking out by Earl Nightingale, I think,
Mhm.
written in
Yeah.
1957 or so. Yes. And I'm just like, that's amazing. Back then, they were talking about things like this that we are dealing with now, that so many people are like, oh, why aren't we doing this? This is a way to help ourselves benefit ourselves to become the better us. So why not try it?
It's so true. And it's interesting that you say that because there are so many books from the past, Norman Vincent Peale, and,
Mhm.
all of Zig Ziglar, all of some of those books back in the day, they were talking about these ideas of, you know, focus and belief and affirmations. And
Mhm.
it just proves that the more you, kind of bring that into your world,
Mhm.
it's like anything. It's like a muscle. If you don't go to the gym and do bicep curls, and maybe your biceps are not so great, but if you do biceps curls and so forth, they're going to be good. And it's the
Yeah.
same thing with the mind. The mind's a muscle, and we need to feed it well and make sure that
Mhm.
we're setting ourselves up for success. And so sometimes people think, I'll do it one day and then I'll skip, but this
Yeah.
is really important. It's like your mental vitamin that you have to take, because if you want that certain life that you have planned for yourself, there are actions you need to take to bring that to a reality, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely. So
definitely.
how does it work, like with your family and friends? Like, sometimes I talk to a lot of women, and
Mhm.
they may or may not have the understanding or support from their family and friends, and sometimes it can block them from going forward with their dreams. And then, then they realize, no, this is my dream, I have to make it happen. Have you come up on any of those resistance or judgments, and how did you circumnavigate that when it was the people that you wanted the most maybe support from, and if it didn't show up,
Mhm.
you get past maybe the feeling of being let down and then still march on for your dream?
Yeah. I've actually been quite lucky. My husband has had my back through thick and thin, even though what I'm doing is very unconventional for a job. I mean, I I am working on traveling regularly with my whole family in tow, and this is going to become a full-time job for me, where I'm going to make an income with doing this as well and doing all the tours and all these kinds of things. There have been a couple hiccups with him because, as I mentioned, that we have to pretty much plant the seed in our mind as we are going to be and be like, we are already this. So I try not to mention that part to my husband because it's like he's very set in physical, how it literally is. And for him to, if I say that to him, he's gonna probably look at me like I'm crazy. So that part I try to avoid, but overall he is very supportive.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so true because you do realize what you learn, what
Mm,
is the best to share and what you need to kind of keep for yourself. And I think it's very important to keep certain things for yourself because that you don't have to get into this place of proving yourself or
mm,
explaining yourself. It's not necessary. If you know it within yourself, that's all
yes.
that you need. And as long as you're doing good in the world and you're not hurting other people, then really there's no reason why the judgments of others should ever let anything change with your path in life. If
Yeah.
you're on purpose and it's a beautiful mission that you're trying to do, then I started when I had a couple not family friends that didn't understand what I was doing initially, and there was a comment that really you know kind of shook me and hurt me and made
Mm,
initially I went into the feeling like I have to explain myself or
mm,
justify myself, and then I just realized, wait a second, they're not paying my bills. And they didn't necessarily have things figured out for themselves. And so it was just like I had to get to that point where it didn't matter to me. I knew my connection with, for me, God, and I knew I was on my purpose, and that's all I
mhm.
had to do. Anytime I have to check in, it's with myself and my creator. Like that for
Mm,
me is like where I get my thumbs up or maybe think a different way about something. But from the
yeah.
outside noise, no, nobody's walking in your shoes. You're not necessarily telling them how to do their life. So why do they feel okay to necessarily tell you how to do your life? Right. So,
Yeah.
it takes a little bit of time, and the reason I'm bringing this up is a lot of women, kind of struggle with that need for approval. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing when we get that approval, right? It feels so good, and it's
Yeah.
definitely invigorating. But there are those
Yeah.
times it happen, right? Like it can even happen from social media where you have someone make an off comment to you, then it could just, you might have done 90 great things in a day, but there's 10% of it that happened that wasn't so great, and it takes away the 90% good feeling that you have. So how would you suggest, like, if someone is running their business and they're
Mhm.
getting some kind of comment, a heckle, so to speak,
Yeah.
how would you tell them to sort of get through that and not take it
Yeah.
so personally, because it's
Yeah.
easier said than done, you know
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that is one bad thing about humans is there's something that a person has done, like maybe all their life they've been so good at doing this particular thing, and then they have one mess up and everyone just remembers the one time. And I mean, especially with the US society, they have a specific way that they look at women compared to men. And as you said, we want validation. And that's a huge thing I dealt with when I was younger because I was from the Midwest, and there I always wanted validation from my father, like, oh, men can only do this kind of work and women have to do this. And I was like, I'm going
yeah.
to work on the roof as a guy and show them up and everything. But so what I would suggest to women is hold your ground. You don't need to prove to anyone. You're good enough as you are. If you feel you're worth it, then you are worth it. You don't need someone else's opinions or someone else telling you that, oh, you're not good enough. It it doesn't matter. You just have to try to brush it off and move forward. Of course, it's going to hurt, but you just have to start reflecting on yourself, do some affirmations, and be like, I am worth it. I am beautiful. I am whatever you're going through.
Yeah, and I think that helps a lot. One of the next questions I am looking at is a thing that comes up quite often for women is that fear of visibility, that initial thing of
Mhm.
getting on camera. This is for the most part, fairly new arena. We used to be able to
Yeah.
have we either worked for someone else and was under the radar, or even if we had our own business, it wasn't in necessarily at the time when social media was everything. And so, when it first came to the scene, it seemed like, oh, they're doing a live video. That's nice for them. Okay, that's good, but not me. I can't do that. I'm just going to do my business the way I'm doing it. And it seems like that's just almost not even an option anymore if you want to
Mm.
kind of really have a presence, and that visibility is everything. So women have really have to come to terms with getting confident in front of the camera, not
Yeah.
being afraid to share. Any tips that you would suggest for them when it comes to that? Because I know even for me, this was one of the biggest hurdles I had to first overcome. Like, I was okay with all the other things, but like, what? Getting camera? Well, I have to fix my hair. I have to lose 10 pounds. 20 pounds or 30. Ah, too much pounds, right? But, and then it's like, should I whiten my teeth? What about this sprinkle? And then, so like, and I know women, like you're saying, we can be so hard on ourselves, and this can
Yeah.
get right in our way of getting out there. So, it's once you do it and you get comfortable, you're okay. But what would your advice be for those that have not done it yet and they're like trying to get up that courage?
Yeah.
Because we've been there. We remember what
Yeah.
that feels like. Hmm.
Definitely. I still have some of those days where I'm just like, I don't feel good enough to be in the camera. And then I go, stop it. You got this. And so you have to become your own best friend. No matter how you're feeling, you tell yourself, you got this, you can do this. So you're saying some ladies are like, oh, that's not for me. That's when you go, stop it. That's for me. I can do this. You always start from somewhere. No one's going to be perfect their first time. That's how it is for everything. And that's a huge thing that humans do is we're like, "Oh, I need to perfect this before I put it on TikTok." And I am kind of struggling with that as well because I'm juggling too much and that's one of my faults.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great that you said that, because initially, right, when you do your first lives and you're like, okay, and they give you that option to edit, or it's a Zoom meeting or whatever, and
Yeah.
you're like focused on the editing and the making it perfect, and all of a sudden so much of your time is taken from trying to
Yeah.
perfect this was happening to me, especially because I'm doing these interviews, right?
Mhm.
And then I was just like, this is just ridiculous. And I thought, you know what? Heck, I'm just going to let it be natural. So you will see almost at the end of every success interview that I do this thing. Okay, let me get my specs on because I can't see anything, and turn off the recording. And normally in the beginning, I would be, oh my goodness, I have to cut that. That's not necessary. And then I just realized, you know what? No, I don't have the time. I don't want to invest the time in that when I can be doing other things that are more beneficial to my clients.
Mm.
And then I thought, it's also giving others permission to see me not make it perfect, is
Yeah.
giving them permission to not have to be perfect. And I started to relax on camera when I started to see even some of my I have a very amazing coach that is
Mhm.
all lifestyle and glamour with the photo shoots and everything. And I thought, oh, wow, like that's just so beautiful. I would love to be like that, but I don't have the professional team yet, for all of these things. And then when I was in her coaching program and she would show up in her lives with all of her, you know, clients, and she'd have no makeup on, bun up on the hair and sweatpants, and even her background had a little mess. I'm like, I didn't expect it at first. I'm like, oh my goodness, she's usually so she, and I'm like, and then I realized, well, wait a second, that's pretty cool, because if she can do it, well, I can relax about it because she's like just this big thing. And it
Mhm.
so what I'm trying to say by that is when you see someone you sort of aspire to be like, and you see them kind of just being a real person without the makeup, in the sweats, whatever. I mean, it can be like that or not like that. It doesn't matter, but it gives you permission to just be kinder to yourself and relax about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so freeing. And this is the other thing I also, and I'm sure you would agree with this, you can't get in your own way about not going on camera to share your mission, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not about you. Hmm? It's about who you
Definitely.
serve. And if you're so afraid to not show up on camera, you are doing many people a disservice, because they don't get to hear your mission, your message, and you don't get to help them. And they need that help, right? They might want your help. And if you're
Yeah.
quiet and just, fiddling around behind the scenes and never getting your message out there, the problem. And so when you realize, this was one of the most freeing things for me, when I realized it's not about me. I'm just a vessel. I am the messenger, so to speak, sharing in ways that can maybe help others. Then
Mm.
all the pressure came off of me. And I'm like, okay, well, let me get out of my way. It's not about me. So would you attest to that too? Do you feel that kind of confidence when you realize, okay, like I have a mission to serve and that's what I'm here
Mm.
for?
Yeah. I mean, the whole reason that I made the travel blog was to help people, to inspire them, to motivate them, to give them hope that if I can do it, they can do it too. I mean, I've overcome several hurdles in my life. Like I mentioned, the traumatic brain injury. My past was a little sticky. I used to be a hitchhiker on the West Coast for a year, used to do all kinds of different things back in then. I also come from a dysfunctional family, so I don't have a pleasant past, but yet I am where I am today. I mean,
Yes. And
besides,
most people have those like dysfunctional things. And you're
yeah,
so right. You have to find a way through it and just go and stay on course for what matters to you. I love that. So I'm just
yeah.
looking at some of my questions. We've really covered a lot without even me looking at the cards, because this is just
Ah,
flowing so beautifully. But okay, here's one for you. How would you define success? Like, what does success look like in the day in your life?
success. Let's see. In my day of life, I think it's when I have time for my child because I have a
Mm.
2-year-old son. That's success right there. I mean, success doesn't have to be money. I think it's more with the time, your experiences, what you're able to do in a day. I mean, I'm able to go on a walk in the forest every day. I'm able to take time when my son is back home to be with him the rest of the day. And then I'm also able to have time to do podcasts and things like this to help other women.
Exactly. And I I think that is the most beautiful thing about having a business, is really
Mm,
you create your schedule, and it's about time, it's about freedom, it's about
yes.
choices. And yes, the money is important because we need to be able to support our life and also
Mm,
make sure our business is successful enough financially that we can keep doing it so that we can keep serving others, which
yes.
maybe brings me to the next question. I'm going rogue a little bit. I usually stick to my things, but I'm letting this flow. So a lot, I'm a money coach, right? And
Mhm.
I'm very aware of money blocks. I've had to overcome. And I know many things that women have to overcome. And a lot of it is about charging their worth. And, you know, and it kind of just goes to what I just said. Like, you need to make money so your business can stay in business. Because if your business
Definitely.
can't stay in business, you can't serve anybody. So this should allow women to be comfortable raising their prices or having the
Mm,
right value. How
yes.
would you kind of share your tips about money and not feeling like that the worth, that they're
Mm,
worthy of it, and the energy around money, the frequency, what they have to get in tune with that feels, comfortable.
mhm.
What's your thoughts on that for women that are struggling with pricing their whatever their offers are?
Yeah, I know I've definitely had times where this has been a difficult for me. I would say for women that you definitely need to do some self-reflection, really think hard about this. Like how much time and effort did you put in creating this? Like maybe you created a lesson or a course for a bunch of people. Now, that if you put in hours and hours and took months to create it, you shouldn't just be like, oh, that's just $50. No way. That you have to have meaning with how much time and effort you put into whatever you're creating.
Exactly. And I also think that there's some truth about the big truth about the energetics of money where,
Mm,
sometimes it's okay. I think that the step ladder approach is
mm,
helpful for women. Let's just say
mm,
it's coaching. It's easier to talk about that. So like if someone's first starting out, they tend to have the feeling a little bit like an imposter, because they don't have,
uh,
years and years of experience yet doing it. And it's the whole, well, who am I to charge, in the whole 9 yards? And that's a very real feeling. And I
mm,
think it's a valid feeling. And so
yes.
what I always have suggested is, you know, start out with a price that is a little bit of a discomfort for you, but not so shocking that you
Um,
can't energetically line up with it. Because, if someone says something so huge because that's what they would like to desire, but their frequency can't match it, it
mm,
won't work because your subconscious will reject it. And so
yeah.
the better idea there is to do steps, so you kind of go a little bit past your comfort about what you'd like to charge. You don't undercharge, you don't go, right in the middle. You just go a little bit up, and then you get comfortable with it. And then when you also feel like, okay, wow, I'm doing such a great service, and it is selling, and then you try again, to see, okay, let's go to the next level. And then you'll get to a point where it makes sense, and it's just a way to address. It's not that you couldn't have gone to that, let's say, the final price that you would have for your offer,
Mm,
because you deserved it the whole time. You put in the training,
yeah.
you put in the efforts, like you're saying, all of it. But sometimes we have to pay attention to, where we are, um, in our mental state of
Uh,
acceptance. And sometimes there is a little bit of stepping into it, so but I love that, because everything that you're saying about getting to the point of, making sure you pay attention to how much effort you put into it, the
mhm,
value, the transformation it's going to give to somebody,
mhm,
the lasting transformation that will go not just from them, but to their people, their family, their friends, because it'll start to kind of come out in a different way. So I love that, what you're saying about really zoning into your worth by paying a lot of attention and to what your efforts were, and not undervaluing yourself, because
yeah.
you are worthy, and so I love that idea. Any ideas for how you might suggest when someone's, like I said, first getting started, and they have that a little bit of imposter syndrome? You kind of said we all have to start from the start, right? We can't be
Yeah.
experts right away. However, this imposter syndrome sometimes gets in the way of people
Mhm,
going for their dreams. Any advices on that,
mm,
real emotion that many women tend to have?
yeah. I think something great that people could do on a daily basis is what I've been doing with my mental state is been doing the affirmations. I've been doing the visualizations, trying to keep or I am keeping the positive mindset. And of course, having the daily walk a day, just doing some kind of exercise activity helps our whole body. It helps our mood and everything. So it's like maybe you don't like going on walks, but you could probably find something else. Maybe you could do some yoga. There are Pilates. There are all kinds of different just little exercises here and there you can do daily. And it doesn't have to be for an hour. It could just be, I don't know, even 5 minutes can help you.
Yes, yes.
So,
And also the idea of surrounding yourself with like-minded women that are
yes,
succeeding. And then
definitely.
right, exactly, that is so important, I think, also, because when you think sometimes our family and friends, they're doing other things, they're not kind of in our world. They don't necessarily get the life of the entrepreneur. It's a very specific, and thank goodness we have a tribe. There are tribes
Mm,
everywhere that we can be a part of, right? And
mm,
this really has been one of the best things. And also to see that, to see the success of other women, it just confirms that, okay, wow, they're doing it, I can do it, then I can do it too, and then also about the whole idea of imposter syndrome.
mm,
As long as you don't have to be the biggest expert, you don't have to, have arrived, so to speak, before you can
mhm.
share. You just need to be like one step in front of those that you're trying to bring forward with you. So,
Yeah.
and there's always going to be a person that's a step ahead of you. And those are the people, such as like coaches, that you should be following, because the whole idea
Mhm.
is growth, right? We're all trying to
Yes.
bring each other up. And like, everybody's in a different point in their business, but it's always about that forward growth
Yeah.
movement, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
I always think it's good at the beginning that people start when they are fresh, because then other people can see, oh, they're doing it, then I can too. They're just an average, regular person. I could do this as well.
yes. Yes. And that kind of goes back to the idea of, don't worry if your video isn't perfect.
Yeah.
Don't worry if your eye makeup isn't fantastic. It doesn't matter. Share your mission, get it out there. By you not being perfect, you're
Mhm.
giving other women permission to go forward, because they're not so afraid anymore that they have to be perfect. It's almost the greatest gift. And the funny thing is, it's exactly opposite of what we thought we originally had to be. We thought
Mm.
we had to be so polished and perfected and mastered. And it's exactly opposite of that when you start going forward and you start to realize, wait a second, relatability, authenticity, that's
Huge.
where it's right? Because then people feel like, hey, she's just like me. That she could be my friend. I'd love to have coffee with her. She's a regular girl just like me. She just followed some systems, and now she's farther along in her business, and she started to focus on what was working and what wasn't. So
Mhm.
I love this. I have one more question for you, that I'm
Mhm.
thinking of now. Okay, so let's say, you're growing your business, and
Mhm.
it can be overwhelming with all the things that go into it. And
Mhm.
not every part of the business isn't necessarily your most favorite part. You have your passion and all this stuff, but there are going to be some of the, grudgy things that you don't like doing. It's just
Mhm.
part of it. Let's imagine a chef that is so fabulously passionate about cooking, right?
Mhm.
That's the passion, he or she. But he's he or she still has to clean the pans, right? Because it gets
Mhm.
dirty. That might not be the favorite part of it. The creation. So with any work that you do, there's always going to be the part that is not my favorite part, but
Yeah.
it's part of it. So, a lot of the times, when someone's in a position and they can, I always suggest that they outsource, hire the help for the things that you don't like, so you can focus on the things that you do like or do best. And it's not
Mhm.
always easy at first. It's, of course, takes a little while to build your business, to be able to do that. But another thing I have always noticed also is really kind of fine tooth your business. And this is a lot, because in the beginning we just take everything. We should be doing this, we should be doing that, and we just get that overwhelm, right? So
Yeah.
I find that, like, kind of make sure you kind of recheck, monthly, what is really necessary. What social media platform is really working for you, and ditch the other ones and put all your effort onto that. Do you have any advices for, you know, time efficiency tips, or
Mhm.
how to, kind of work with the tasks in the business that aren't not the favorite part of the world of your life?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've actually been doing a lot of things that have been helping with this. I actually took a course for my travel blog, and that helped me loads. That helped me to fine tooth it, find the best things that I'm actually wanting to stand for and everything. And plus, it helped me realize that I don't need to be on all of the social media platforms. That's just too much. They told me that it's best to be on like two. So I've like narrowed it. Of course, I'm on more than two, but I mean, they're the two that I'm like specifically like, ooh, these ones I'm working my butt off on.
Mhm.
And besides that, I've learned that it's good to write a list daily. It should be about 5 or 6 things on that list that you're like, oh, I need to do this day today. And the most important should be the first one. And so to keep yourself on your path, not getting distracted, you just work on the first task. And once that's complete, cross it off and then move to the next one. And you do that until you're fully complete. Or if you have some left, then those move on to the next day. And this has helped me loads because I have that problem where I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this and this and this and this all at the same time. And then I end up not getting them done, or I end up getting distracted again or something. So that has helped loads.
Love that. There's always, so many different kinds of tips for these things. I love
Mm.
automations when it makes sense to do automations. And you
Yes.
have to kind of like feel yourself out, like what works for you. I kind of wrestled with it a little bit. Like I would plan my days initially where I would do, let's say, three separate activities that were all
Mm.
important in my business, but they were really completely different. And
Mm.
the transition for me became, it was too forced and too like for me it was too much of a shock. Like I'm not a multitasker. I am not.
Mm.
I do better when I have my blinders on and I put all my passion into one specific thing, category, genre, whatever you want to call it, and then I just focus on that. And it took me a while to learn that instead of having my days with, three very important parts of my business that are very different, let me
Yeah.
instead have 3 days. One day is for that specific thing, the next day is for that specific thing, and the third day is for that specific thing. So I could just get into my mindset of,
Yes.
and it that worked for me. It worked beautifully for me. But it took me a while to figure it out because I felt like, no, I should be, was the should. I should be, I have to.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important. When you find yourself starting to say should, have to, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. How am I going to get this done? That is your cue to stop, right?
Yeah.
What you're doing, grab a meditation mat or go out and walk. And really, this business you started is for
Mm.
your happiness, right? You had
Yes.
that desire makes you happy. You have a vision. And when you start to feel so overwhelmed, out of sync, and kind of unhappy with your business, where it's becoming more of a heaviness on your shoulder, there's nothing wrong with your business.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with the way you're managing it, and that's okay. And there is a process, right, to figuring that out,
Yes.
right? It's
Yeah.
not, you kind of have to get to know yourself better. And
Yeah.
this is exactly that education of getting to really find your best self and learn so much by owning your businesses, these
Mhm.
types of challenges that come up, right?
Yeah. And then everyone's brain is different. So it's like you maybe see how I do things. It maybe won't work for you, but you can try it. You can maybe find some other ways to do things and they work better for you. That's exactly what you're saying. We have to find ourselves.
Yes. Yeah, one of the most important things, maybe the most important thing, now that I think of it, is
Mm.
to make sure that you're consistently enjoying your business, because the
Mm.
whole reason you took that big chance and went for it, and Mark, just were making a path for yourself despite, naysayers or this and the education you put into it, the whole 9 yards, all the efforts, dreams, manifesting, affirmations that you put into this. You have to make sure that you're checking in, and that happiness that you started with is still there. It's sort of almost like
Yes.
a relationship, right? You fall in love, you have the goo goo eyes, and it feels so great. And then somehow you allow the life to get overwhelming and you forget to maybe check in with your partner and keep that alive. These check-ins are very important for your business as well, because your business
Yeah.
is your passion as well. And so I just like to kind of like, um, just things I've learned along the way that, you learn by doing, right? Trial and error,
Yes.
failing forward, the whole 9 yards. So I guess, so in our last closing of this really great interview with so many excellent tips on how to have a successful business journey, I love it. What would you what is the number one tip that you would say for any woman who's starting her business or growing her business? If you had to tell her, one thing, you had 2 minutes with her, what is the thing that you would tell her?
I'd actually say two things.
Okay, it's
Uh,
okay.
so I would say stay positive. You have to have that positive mindset. Of course, you're going to have a lot of ups and downs. That's how it is in life, in starting anything new. And then another thing I would say is get out of your comfort zone. Like we were mentioning already, was you're not going to be perfect the first time you try being recorded or doing something that you're not used to. It's better that you aren't perfect the first few times that you're doing it, because then it shows that you are genuine, you're a real person.
Yes. And then when you look back so many years later, you see the growth and how far you came. And
Yes.
and you wouldn't have come that far if you never started. So start, keep going, keep growing
Yes.
forward, right? So, well, this has been an absolute inspiring interview. I love it. I know that this is going to help so many women, and I love the work that you're doing. Before we sign off, go ahead and share your website name again and where people can find you, because I think this is just an amazing way for them to connect with you, and also to kind of expand into that idea of travel and breaking out of their comfort zones for growth,
Yes,
self-growth. Mm-hmm.
definitely. Well, hello everyone again. I am Dani Rosenblad James, and I have a travel blog, misfitwanders.com. You can find me on Instagram, Misfit Wanders. You can find me on Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn. I think that's about it. So all Misfit Wanders.
There you go. I love it. I love it. And I think you even have a t-shirt going on right now with your, right?
Yeah.
You want to look at us. We know how to brand ourselves. Women, this is one of the things. Get yourself a t-shirt with your logo, because when you're doing your Zoom meetings or Facebook lives, why not? This is your business. Be proud. And I just got a
Yeah.
baseball cap with mine too for the walks
Awesome.
I'm doing, and potential Facebook lives I'll be starting to do soon too. So, well, this has been so great. I thank you so much. I am so inspired by your journey and what you came through, and not letting anything get in your way to go for your dreams. And women, please let Dani's story be an inspiration to you. You can find out more about her in her blog posts on her sites that she was speaking about. And then that is all for now. So keep going for your dreams and never give up. Stay positive, break out of your comfort zone. And I will see you next time with another beautiful, inspiring interview that will give you all of the incentives and inspirations and motivations that you need to continue on your journey, and also just some really great women that you want to collaborate with and connect with. So check Dani's website out. Just get to know all of these beautiful women that I'm sharing with you, because they all have a beautiful story and a journey and amazing offers that can definitely be a part of your world too. So see you next time, and thank you for tuning in. Bye for now. Here we go with the imperfection. Glasses on. Let's find that stop record button. It's okay to be imperfect. It's
Love it.
okay.